What's going on, fellas? My name is Wes Neely, and I want to welcome you to the Stoic Lounge, a place where men can be men, talk about our issues, and just tell our story. So today we have an exciting guest here, someone who's going to be talking about entrepreneurship, talking about what it means to actually own and operate a business, start a business up, and pretty much, give us the fundamentals of just running a business, owning and operating a business, and dealing with people and customers and employees, and everything of the such that comes along with running a business, and also just talk about some of the trials and tribulations of life, and certain things that he went through in life, and because that's pretty much what this show is about, right? Men talking about our things that we go through. So without further ado, I want to introduce Nas Nasir. Right, Nas, aka Nas the Barber from Uppercut Barbers in San Diego, California. And man, I appreciate you coming out today, man.
How you doing, Wes?
And I'm doing well. And I appreciate you coming out and giving us some time out of your 24. I know it was a rough morning this morning getting here, but you got here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and I appreciate it. So basically, man, what I want to do is, I invited you because I know that you're a businessman. Before in the past, we've talked about business, and you have a fine establishment here, the barbershop, and I know that this is what you do. So I figure, hey, what better person to have on to actually talk about business? Because I think right now you have a lot of people kind of falling into this trap, thinking that starting a business is real easy, maintaining a business is easy, and then a lot of people are getting sucked into what a lot of these gurus are talking about, right, on YouTube and stuff like that, about you can make $10,000, $20,000 a month and stuff like that, and a lot of people are kind of falling for that. A lot of people are putting up their hard-earned money to get into some of these programs, and a lot of the times these programs are not what these people are saying that it is. A lot of people are finding out the hard way after they've already spent several $1,000s to actually get into something. Mm-hmm. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to have somebody on the show that actually has a brick and mortar business that went through the process of, going through dealing with banks, having to renovate a facility, having to deal with electricians, and all that stuff that comes with really grinding. Putting a business together, and I want you to kind of let the people know out there who are probably looking into possibly getting into business, just kind of talk about some of the things that you had to go through and stuff like that leading up to this point. But, first, we just want to get started with, just give us a bit, tell us a little bit about yourself,
Sure.
kind of where you're from and things like that. And, man, it's all on you now.
Okay, yeah. So, originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Okay.
As a kid, I grew up between, it was kind of a, military brat, to some degree. But I grew up in Kansas City as well. And, I've been here in San Diego for the last 25 years.
Okay.
So, this is definitely my home, but, definitely have roots in those other two cities.
Okay. So whereabouts in San Diego when you first came out here, were you living in?
Yeah, so I was living in Chula Vista area.
Okay.
Went to Hilltop Middle School for 1 year, and then I had moved to the college area and went to Crawford High School.
So what high school?
Crawford.
Oh, Colts, right?
Yeah, Crawford Colts.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, we used
to
beat up on him in football. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But all right. Well, that's cool then, man. So, at what point did you come to the realization that business is something that you wanted to get into?
Man, I would say, since I was 8, 9 years old.
Okay.
I would say it started, when, I was, a kid and, asking my mother for, lunch money or, money, for, food or just snacks or anything like that, something like that. And, she didn't have it. My mother was a single parent.
Okay.
Worked hard. But she did what she could.
Mm-hmm.
So, I knew at a young age that I wouldn't, be able to just ask my parents for money and, I would receive.
Okay.
So my first I guess you would say my first hustle was selling basketball and baseball and football cards.
All right.
And
Okay.
back then, you would get a catalog of all the players
Yeah.
and the cards and the value, and this was like Tops and
Remember
Upper
Topps?
Deck,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And so I would get this book, and I would just go to like a grocery store and just buy a pack. A pack would be like 40 cards.
Okay.
30, 40 cards.
Yeah.
So I'd probably buy like, 3 or 4 packs, $5, $6 each at that time. And, the card would range from, let's say, a player on the bench, 12th man on the bench. That card would be worth like, 20 cents. And
Okay.
then you would get like a Michael Jordan card,
Yeah.
and that card would be like, 10, $20. And then you would get like vintage cards at that time. Like a vintage card would be like a Dr. J or Larry, Larry Bird or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that, Magic, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So, I would have my book, and I would go to school, and just basically I just started a market. I got all the kids, buying and selling cards,
Okay.
and we just kind of like had our own community of, in our own economic community of,
Yeah.
trading cards. Yeah,
Slanging cards.
yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
and it was very lucrative. I remember, making, easily, $100, $150 a day,
Wow.
and this is back in like the early 90s, just selling cards.
Okay, so that was your gross. Or yeah, that was your gross. So like, how much did it cost for you to buy the cards? I mean,
Right.
like if you was doing 150, you said by the day, right? So how much was
Yeah.
you spending, turning around, going back, purchasing more cards?
Like $5, $6 per
Wow.
per pack. So
Yeah.
let's just say like I bought like 3 packs.
Okay.
That'd be $15.
Wow.
And then off of that, $15, I would at least make, 150 to 200.
Man, so that was a heck of a profit being made. then,
Absolutely.
At that end. So how old were you at this?
200%.
Yeah.
I was about 10.
10 years old?
Mhm.
Wow, so you were making some nice money at 10 years old, man. Because at 10 years old, I was walking around the neighborhoods knocking on doors like, can I cut your grass for like 10
Right.
bucks?
Right.
$15. I do the front and backyard. But I still had that entrepreneurial spirit. You know what I'm saying? But yours, you were already up there on some eBay type stuff, making big transactions
Right.
and stuff like that. So how long did you actually carry that on before you probably ventured off into some other stuff?
So I would say, maybe for like a year or two.
Okay.
This was mainly end of elementary school to
Yeah.
middle school.
Okay.
And then, right around, I'd say 7th, 8th grade, that's when I started cutting hair.
Okay, seventh,
Yeah.
eighth grade, you started cutting hair.
Mhm.
Okay, so 7th, 8th grade, you started cutting hair. How much would you charge for the haircuts, man?
Man, back then, that was a long time ago. So we're talking like, 91, 92. Let's just say like $5.
Yep, because that's what
Right.
I remember paying. Yep, from haircuts.
Yeah,
Man, $5.
$5. If I didn't like you, I'd charge you 10.
10, huh?
Yeah, but $5.
Okay. Hey, yeah, I definitely remember those days. Definitely a big change from then to, the $45 haircut
Yeah, yeah.
down. Man, okay. So that was going into junior high school. You was like, all right, I'm in the business. I like business. I go from doing the baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards, trading the cards and everything, to now I'm over here doing barbershop stuff. I'm cutting hair and stuff like that. So at this time, were you one of those kids who had the people coming to your house? Like you were doing it out of your room, kitchen, or something like that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So, just maybe advertise, through word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, social media or even internet wasn't even around at that time.
Exactly.
So, just, my, the people I cut, they were like my, my canvas. I guess, you could say they were like walking billboards.
Okay.
And, just word
Word
just
of mouth, yeah,
quickly,
yeah. That was the networking
spread around
back then.
school.
Yeah, yeah. That's how. Yeah, that's how the business got around. Such
Yeah.
cut hair over here, man. $5. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And it started off as 1, 2, 5, 10, and then eventually I was just cutting the whole block.
Yeah.
Okay. And then after that, I was just cutting the whole middle school.
Wow.
Basically. So, I was, maybe getting about 50, 60 haircuts a week.
Okay.
This was like 7th grade.
7th grade.
Yeah.
Man, so you were making some pretty good money.
Yeah.
As a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball cards to cutting hair.
Yeah.
What was your mom saying about all this?
You know what? She would ask me what I was doing.
Yeah.
And at first she had some concerns, because obviously, your kid goes from asking you for money all the time to not asking you for money at all.
Okay.
You're washing clothes and you're seeing bundled up money.
Mm-hmm.
Parents are gonna have questions.
Yeah.
And so. No, I have receipts,
Yeah. You
I
able to
could
prove where you was getting the money from and everything. Like, no, man, this ain't no street stuff.
Yeah.
Forget what you heard about regular young black men out here out on the street trying to get that money, huh? It's like,
Yeah.
nope, mine's is legit. It's coming straight from cutting hair and things like that. That's
Absolutely.
cool. So, man, did you have any sibling brothers or sisters or anything?
You know what? So I had one younger brother.
Okay.
He's 11 years younger.
Okay.
So growing up as a little kid, I didn't have him around. It was just me, solo. So,
okay. All right. So pretty much, yeah, you kind of grew up solo then. And all of a sudden, bam, you got a little brother and stuff like that.
Right.
Okay. So at this point, when you were doing the hair, when all of a sudden did you decide, okay, I might want to make this a full-time business?
Man, that didn't come until much later. Actually. So my educational background is finance.
Okay.
Finance and business. So went to school, went to college, did the whole, 4 years. Bachelor's degree.
What school did you go to?
So I went to Rosemont College.
Okay.
Then I went to Senegal State University.
Okay, got it.
All right. And then so I had right after college, I had gotten a job at SDCCU, so Seneca County Credit Union. Right.
Okay.
Started off as a loan processor. Then I became an underwriter. Pre-underwriter, then an underwriter.
Okay.
So it was loan processor, funder, pre-underwriter, and an underwriter for mortgage loans. And I loved it, but I knew that I was a business person.
Yeah.
But for growth, I knew that I had to understand finance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the key. That's the key to business. That's just the key to life, is understanding finance. So, I just kind of like understood kind of got to study the flow, streamlining from processing to funding a loan.
Okay.
And all the steps in between.
Yeah. Right.
And I did that for maybe like 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this was during while you were in college? You were
no, this is right after.
So
it's probably like between
okay.
23 to like 28, 29.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 20, 29. Okay.
Yeah.
So you knew the importance of understanding how money works,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's real big because a lot of us sometimes just think that the way money works is you get your paycheck,
Right.
flows through your hands after Uncle Sam and everybody else do what they need to do with your money. And then all of a sudden you get whatever's left over. And then after that, everybody else is picking off of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever bills and all that other stuff that you need to do. And I think sometimes people have the understanding that that's just the bulk of understanding how money works. You earn it through work. It comes in. Then all of a sudden it disperses out everywhere else.
Right.
But on your level, you're like, listen, I need to understand how the mechanics and the intricacies of how money actually works. So you went through the whole part of understanding how the loan processes and the paperwork,
Yeah.
and everything behind it works. So you're starting to become more and more involved in that realm of business, that other side of it, that black and white contractual, so to say, side of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you were dabbling into that particular side of business, where did you start to take it from there? Is it now? Are you at the point where it's like, look, I don't want to work for anybody else?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us feel like that. I want to do my own thing.
Right.
So now you're at the point of, I need to start my own type of business. What am I going to start? So yeah. So what did you end up getting into once you felt like I need to do my own thing?
Yeah. So after barber school, worked for a barbershop, Urban Cuts.
Okay.
Shout out to Jerry, my mentor, and
Right.
taught me a lot. So I, worked as just a, barber for about, 4 or 5 years. I really didn't know if I wanted to stay in the barber industry. It was a natural talent growing up, and I enjoyed doing it. But I really didn't know how economically it could benefit,
Okay.
At that time, probably like, that was like 2013, 2014, haircuts were like $20,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like one of those things where you're working like an ant, okay? So if the barbershop, I was very fortunate to work in a barbershop that was very busy,
Yeah.
right? So I was able to, always cut and make my money that way. Standing up 8, 10, 12 hours a day, you don't want to keep doing that for months and years and so on and so forth. So, now you're trying to, add different services to where you can charge more and work less hours, right? So, different barbers, different hairstylists, they specialize. They're better at different things, right?
Yeah.
Some are very good at coloring. Some are good at braiding, perming, whatever the case may be, and they kind of go by their prices based off of that. Okay.
Pretty much their skill set, right?
Right.
Basing prices off skill.
Right. So I really didn't know anything but cutting hair.
Okay.
Right? So I just started learning how to do, different things, and eventually I was just like, you know what? Well, I still don't want to work for somebody else. So I was like, okay, well, let me start my own barbershop.
Okay.
But in between that time, I had stopped cutting hair and I got into another business.
Okay.
Okay, so I left the barber game for 2.5 years.
All right.
And when I came back, then I was like, okay, I'm opening up a barber shop. And so, it's to me, barbering isn't working. It's every day I'm coming into work and it's like, it feels like home. It feels like, like I'm walking into, a bunch of chaos and and
uncertainty and all kind of all kind of other stuff going on.
Yeah, what I'm saying, like I'm walking into a bunch of guys and we all got issues. We all got families. We all got we all got drama in our life, and we come communion and we work together, and we produce a product that we produce a product and an experience for the customer.
So that's what I want to know too, man. Can you explain that to me? Because I always heard when I thought you working for a barber shop was just you go, you apply, and the barber hires you. Then I started hearing, oh, you're paying for booth space. So I'm like, how does that work?
Well, there's two different ways of paying commission, I guess you could say. So one is paying booth rent, and the other one is paying commission per haircut. So you can pay. So let's just say like the barbershop owner is charging his barbers or her barbers commission. He may do a 70-30 split. He may do a 60-40 split. He may do a 50-50 split. Depends on the shop owner.
Okay.
And, the same thing goes for the booth rent. It's weekly.
All right.
So, whatever the shop owner decides.
Yeah, the rent that's pretty much what you pay, huh?
Correct. And then that's based off, what, the rent is of the shop and, what the average going booth rent is around town.
Mm-hmm.
Shop owners are very knowledgeable about that, and they has different shop owners.
Yeah.
They know the average going rate of what other shops are charging.
Everybody's
Absolutely.
just kind of increasing their price.
Yeah, eventually.
Based on what everybody else is doing, in other words.
Right. I mean, if your shop is, let's say, okay, for like example here in the mall, right, and you're charging $150, you're charging your barbers $150
for the
a
booth.
week for booth rent, right?
Okay.
And let's just say like there's a barber shop that's charging $200, but they're like on some rinky-dink corner,
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, okay, well, I'm gonna bump my price up to $225 because I already know that, okay, this guy's getting $200.
Yeah.
And, and the location isn't nowhere near as good as the location that I'm at. So I'm, undermining myself. I should be charging more than him.
Okay.
So I should go $225 or $250. But it's based off the flow of traffic. It's based off the location.
Yeah.
It's based off of the skill of the barber.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's multiple variables.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know that I've seen some barbers charge like some outrageous prices and people pay. I'm talking about upwards of $100+ for a cut.
Oh yeah.
I know of a barber right now in the East County area. I've seen him post stuff on his Instagram where he's like, it can be up to $1,000+ that he's paying for certain like haircuts, and I mean there's certain things that he's doing with the haircut, but I know that's like the rare exception, right?
Yeah.
I mean I get that, I understand that, you know what I'm saying? But just for a regular barber making just renting out his space inside of the booth, it's just based on the surrounding prices of what all the other barbershops might be charging. So
Right.
at this point, you're like at the barbershop, right? You're doing whatever at the barbershop. Now you're feeling like you got to branch out. At this point, at what point are you feeling like, man, I got to branch out on my own and start my own barbershop now?
You know what? It's a good question. I was with a team of guys that, and this is just, my isolated situation. Everybody's different. I was with, a crew of guys of 6, and, we just kind of all came in together. It just kind of like luckily happened like that, and we became very good friends, like family.
All right.
And so that camaraderie, that kind of like that family, that it started breaking up, right? It started breaking up, different people had different things going on in their life, and they wanted to do their own thing. And then, we had a barber that passed away, was a very close friend. And so the team wasn't the team anymore.
Okay.
And then, we kind of each start venturing off. But most barbers, they once they feel like they have enough clientele to start their own shop, that's normally what they do.
Okay.
And this usually takes like 3 to 4 years. 4 or 5 years. Some barbers never start their own shop because they don't want the responsibility of having to pay, their own bills and things of that nature. But I feel like for me, every barber outgrows their situation, right? And I felt like that's what happened with me. I feel like I outgrew my situation. I was ready to move on and start my own brand.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So once you felt like you were ready to start your own brand, now that real responsibility comes in, because now
Right.
you got to find a facility and everything.
Yeah.
And all with all of that comes money.
Yes.
Do you have the money to purchase a brick and mortar facility to start your own business up? And we know in California it's already expensive.
Correct.
And now we're talking about San Diego, California, which can be pretty pricey. So now you have all of those options to weigh. Okay, is it something that I really want to go out and do? So now you went out and did it. How did that process start?
Well, let's start with credit. Credit is very important. So there's multiple ways. I mean, you know, you have the barber, because we do get cash, right? So if we're good money managers, you know, some barbers save up the money through work.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's, each shop is different. You know, you may put $20,000 into a shop. You may put $30,000 into a shop. I know, barbershop owners that have put $150,000 into their barbershop.
And that's way before you even earned any money. That's just straight out of pocket.
That's
straight from a loan. Okay.
Right. If your credit is good and, you have a high credit score and then you can get a loan, get a business loan. And to get a business loan, you have to be in business for 2 years and show income. Your business is making income for 2 years before you get a business loan. And each and every bank will tell you that.
Yeah.
There's some exceptions, where they may give you a loan for 1 year, but you have to put a substantial amount of money and keep it in there without ever touching it.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have to know yourself. You have to know yourself, and making this decision, you should plan it, whether it's 6 months, a year, 2 years in advance. And for me personally, I had known, within a year that I was going to start my own shop. Now, remember how I told you I had left the barber game and started another business, right?
So hold on, before we go any further, we're going to go back to this. What was the whole other business, being that you brought it up again?
So I was selling exotic cars.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started a exotic car company called SD Motor Group.
Okay.
Ranging from BMWs, Maseratis, Rolls Royces, Bentleys, any exotic cars you can think of.
So when you say you started a business selling them, explain that. I mean, because it seems like you needed like a car dealership or something.
Yeah, that's basically what it. Yeah. I mean, that's what it was. So I started an exotic car company.
All right.
Car lot. And it was called SD Motor Group.
Right.
We sold exotic cars, exotic vehicles, ranging, from, any exotic car that you can think of, Rolls Royces, Bentleys, Lexus, BMW, Mercedes, anything, that you can think of.
So how did you start? How did you put all that together to get those type of quality cars and start that business? What was that process like for you to actually?
Well, it's very strenuous, very, it's a process. So basically, I was introduced to it through a friend that was already in it, that was already selling exotic cars.
Okay.
And he needed help with some of the financial side of it, like, banking, the banks and, different financial institutions that really, because, you have parts, and you have the finance side, and then you have the actual inventory side. Okay. And so he was very good at finding cars, but he wasn't good at getting people financed. Okay. And that's where I had, that's where my knowledge came in, because I had built relationships with banks. And so I have a friend also that builds software, right?
Okay.
Inventory software. And he, we all three partnered up. And so, that's how we started it. Okay. And we started our own business. The guy that introduced me left his partner, right? Because I had some issues. And then he partnered up with me and another friend. So, us three started this SD Motor Group.
All right.
And so we were more the finance side, me
Yeah.
and my friend, and the guy that introduced me, he was
Yeah.
more of the inventory side.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So everybody pretty much came in playing their specific role.
Yeah, the role, yeah.
And that's pretty much what you need to do in the business, especially when you start getting people to work with you and doing collaborations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So with the SD Motor Group, you said you did that for a couple of years, so that didn't work out.
Well, I mean, it actually worked out well. I
Okay.
just had shady business partners. But no, we made the money. Money was an issue. It was just trust was an issue. And that's something else that's very big about business.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to do business with people that you don't trust, but that's something that you're not going to know
Yeah.
until you actually get into the business. So it's really knowing character and really judging character. And, that's something that comes with growth and experience.
Yeah, it does.
Nobody's just going to just know, okay, this person, I can trust this person
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah, because I think most of the time we all go in with good intentions.
Correct.
Nobody rolls out of bed. Well, I think most people don't roll out of bed in the morning, saying to themselves how I'm going to go screw somebody over or mess something up, right? I said not everybody. I know some people have
Yeah, I
that
was gonna say,
intention,
yeah, some
right?
people do wake up with that.
But I think when you collectively come together with people that it's like, look, we're coming together for a common good. We're all on the same page. This is what we want to do. But sometimes when that money starts coming in,
Yeah,
attitudes start changing up.
absolutely.
You might have somebody, it might be a couple of you guys, look, we need to put money back into the business. The other guy's like, no, I'm trying to go out and flash it and have fun with it,
Right.
living for the now as opposed to building for the future.
Absolutely.
And sometimes that can be the disruption inside of a business. So that's kind of what you experience. with
Yeah,
that.
I mean, right, because there's always somebody that's living outside of their means.
Yeah.
Typically, I like to put back 15 to 20% earnings.
Okay.
Go back into the business.
Yeah.
And that pays for, all your overhead
Mm-hmm.
and operating cost.
Yeah.
So you always want to have that, always. And think about partnerships. There's always somebody that's living outside of their means, always.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we may be, partners, we have two different lifestyles.
Yeah.
You may be flashy, I may not, and vice versa. So, that's something that you have to deal with.
Yeah. So would you recommend anybody that's wanting to start a business that they actually go into it with a partner, or would you recommend that they probably stay solo due to those reasons?
Me personally, I think if you can be solo,
Yeah.
then you should. But let's just say like a complex business, like, opening up a car dealership,
Yeah.
you're probably going to need a partner or two, unless you've been in the industry for 15, 20, 25 years,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just, have so much knowledge, so much relations to where you really don't need a
Okay.
partnership. But most people that are starting a business do need a partner based off the complexity of the business.
Of the business.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And, that's where, judgment of character and people, showing receipts, you have to see like, okay, like what's this person's background? What's their history?
Mm-hmm.
If you can kind of, maybe get a Google search on them and kind of see,
Yeah.
what other people think about them and based off their past businesses and, so I would say for most people, they should try to do it themselves.
Okay. If you can, yeah,
If you can.
prevent going into business. But yeah, because most of the time you hear about business partnerships, man, and like you were saying, it's the difference of opinion on things, different personalities. Eventually somebody else might start thinking one way. And another thing too that's real big, man, is a lot of the times you might come into it. It might be two single men. All of a sudden somebody gets married.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden that spouse has an influence
Yeah.
over what goes on with the business. And here you are like, listen, man, a year ago we didn't have this issue. And now that you got married, it could be vice versa, you know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. But now all of a sudden you got married and your wife has influence over you. And now the business is took a turn because of, then the marriage you've gotten in.
Absolutely.
Right? So yeah, you hear them stories all the time. And that's kind of sad, man. But anyway, the dealership, you did it for a couple of years, then you just decided it was time to leave it.
Yeah, so what happened was I started having some issues with my partners. And, I just wasn't thinking about auto finance is that it changes all the time,
Okay.
just like mortgage, housing finance, it changes every 3 to 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So due to the economy in Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
Wall Street always influences everything. Banks became very strenuous on lending.
Okay.
And the criteria of, I'll give an example, somebody that that could get a loan that at a 650 credit score, now they want them to have 700. You know what I mean, for that same vehicle with the same APR, with the same year terms and everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so and then also the commission became smaller, okay, because of that as well, right? So instead of getting paid $5,000 per car, you're getting paid $2,500, or you're getting paid $1,500. So that's a big difference.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And so I could have stayed in it, but I felt like if I were to stay in it, then I would have to basically cut the fat, which was cut out my partners.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want that much. I just didn't want that much responsibility.
Yeah.
I felt like I loved cars. I loved driving around in new cars. I loved,
Yeah, definitely. Sure.
So I love the commission, obviously, the money is good when when the money is flowing, you are selling cars.
Yeah.
But,
when it slows. Cash flow. Mm-hmm.
Right. Another thing thing was called it's called a floor line. And basically what it is you get credit basically from a bank they'll give you let's say example, $1 million floor line. So with that $1 million floor line, you can purchase $1 million worth of cars.
Okay.
Right? Now the thing is about that is you have a certain amount of time to sell these cars.
Wow.
Right? And which is like 30 days, right? Yeah, 30 to 45 days.
Man,
after the 45,
say a year or something.
No. You have 30 to 45 days to sell these cars.
Okay.
And after that 45 days, if you haven't sold the car, you have to pay a 10%. What's the term called? Accrued. Let me pause that real quick.
Accrual.
Accrual. Yes. Okay. Okay, I'll just start again. Okay, so after 45 days, you have to pay a 10% accrual fee, right? So let's just say the car is $40,000. Mm-hmm. Okay, after that 45 days, if you don't sell that car, you have to pay $4,000. So imagine if you have 20 cars. Yeah. Okay, and like the average, you're paying $2,000 to $3,000 in curtailment fees. So you're paying like $50,000-$60,000
just in fees.
Just like that.
Man,
you know what I mean?
Because you didn't meet that deadline. Wow.
Right, and so it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure, and I just felt like I didn't love the game. I didn't love selling cars that much to want to deal with that much pressure.
Yeah.
So I was like, at this time, I had never opened up a barbershop. So I wanted to get back into cutting hair, but I wasn't going to work for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, cool. Let's open up a shop.
Yeah.
And I got into another partnership.
Yeah.
With a friend, and I had known him for a long time, and we built a shop together. Me, him, and some of our other friends, and we were all a part of it. And this is another thing about business too. You have to make sure everything's on paperwork.
Black and white, definitely.
I feel like we tend to, with family and friends, we kind of look over that sometimes.
Yeah, because we still be on that all showing love, all the
Right.
hook up, that mentality that, we
Yeah.
got to get out of that.
We got to
man.
get out of that.
Definitely, I hear you.
And so I made the mistake, even with years of being, a business owner and having multiple businesses, I made that mistake of, of my paperwork not being right.
Yeah.
That partnership fell through, and basically I had to start from scratch.
Okay.
Okay, so that's where this shop comes into play.
All right.
So I was at I was in that partnership for a year, right?
Yeah.
I was in that partnership for a year, and I decided I need to start my own thing by myself, and I was fortunate to do that, and when you're going to like any when you have a brick and mortar business, the first thing is, right, the real estate, right, is the lease.
Yeah.
Right. So, finding decent, rent
Okay.
in San Diego
Yeah.
or just in any town is a long process. You have to deal with, multiple realtors. A lot of commercial realtors really are horrible at following up on
Okay.
on leads, and so I had to call the same realtor like 10, 15 times, each lease I seen, I had to call, and it was during COVID, so obviously, people weren't
longer process.
Yeah, people weren't working either at
Yeah.
that time, so it was just really draining. It was really draining, and I came across a blessing
Okay.
where I looked up and I knew the actual owners of the shopping center.
Okay.
Yeah, and shout out to Trevor and Nick at Rainbow Investments.
All
So to give them a shout out. But yeah, they gave me an opportunity, and I started the process.
Okay.
Started building the process.
Yeah.
Me and my lady, and so.
So was it so when you started that process and you said, okay, we talked about the real estate and everything, getting the actual property.
Right.
Did you have the money already to finance it yourself, or did you have to go through a bank again and get financing?
You know what? So this time I got lucky. I had gotten bought out through my partner,
Okay.
right? So I had startup money, to kind of at least get the demo going, and just to clean up and kind of certain things, the paint and
Yeah.
the flooring, and I was kind of able to get that going. And then so I got the bare minimum, and then for the rest of it, I basically cut during that process.
You said you basically cut.
Yeah. So during that process, so I had to start up money, right? I had 10,000 to kind of get the ball rolling.
Okay. I get it.
And then, while I had so this is another thing too. You have to have a deadline as far as like, okay, this business needs to be up and running within a certain amount of time. Could be 30 days,
Yeah.
60 days, 90 days, 120 days, whatever. So I had my, I had already mapped out that I was going to build this shop within 60 to 90 days.
Okay.
Okay, 2 to 3 months. And the 10,000 was the startup, right? So the 10,000 basically was going to cover the flooring, paint, mirrors, lights, right? Things of that, right? So, for them to start building that, okay, it was going to take time. Well, that would buy me time to cut hair. I already had clients.
Okay. All right.
Right. Yeah. So, within that 60 days, I was probably able to, put up like another, I don't know, like 15,000,
Okay.
and 15 to 20,000, and then so, then by that time, it was up and running, right? We had the grand opening, and then I could finish it out, to finish out the other, what I had in the budget, another like 5,000.
Yeah.
Then I was able to kind of, as the shop is open, I was able to finish.
Okay.
And I'm still adding.
Yeah.
I feel like a business, you never stop. You always add.
Yeah.
And subtract.
I'm sure you do. That's
Yeah.
why they always got, companies are always marketing. So,
Correct.
in other words, you're a true testament to that. You don't necessarily have to go through a bank and get financing and get a loan and all that kind of stuff all the time. If you
Yeah.
have your money saved up,
Right.
and you got enough money saved up, you can get things going, and from there you're actually earning the income. So you got the cash flow coming in, and then you're able to continue to add to it. Because I think a lot of people are under the impression that, I got to go through a bank, I got to get a bank loan, or
Yeah.
I have to get some type of venture capital money or something like that.
Right,
Raise
like
money and stuff.
Right. Like there's private money that you can get financing with, private money, unconventional loan.
Yeah.
And, and then they either, take a percentage from your earnings, or they have a percentage of your business.
Yeah.
So there's multiple lending tools. So there's multiple, different lenders, and what they offer.
Yeah.
Offer and demand. So it's multiple. But I would encourage, if you can, to business 101 is use somebody else's money.
Okay.
If you can. And
So when you say use somebody else's money, some people might look at that, okay, whose money are we talking about?
Right,
Or new
right.
ears, people and youngsters out here is like, what does he mean? I mean, because I grew up with Robert Kiyosaki, right? And he was like, use other people's money and stuff like that. And so I figured that out. So what do you mean by use other people's money?
well, yeah, like either get a loan from the
Okay.
bank, or private capital.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, there's financial institutions, that can provide that, or if you just have, friends and family, or just investors, who are willing to invest in you, based, off the relationship, based
Yeah.
off their trust. That's probably the best, to be honest,
Okay.
because, it's the thing, like, somebody, loans you money because they want you to succeed, or they believe in you, whatever the case may be. More than likely, they're not going to charge you, a ton of interest, if any.
Okay.
A bank is going to always charge you interest,
True.
always. And again, like I mentioned, you don't want to use your own money if it's not possible. You can use that money towards something else. Instead of me using that money to start the business, then okay, I can pay my rent
Yeah.
with that money. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I would encourage, if it's possible, to use private capital.
Okay. Might make the process a lot easier.
And
But in order for you to qualify
less
to any
interest.
type of private capital or anything like that, especially going through a bank, conventional type of lending, got to make sure that credit score and stuff is right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And,
Yeah.
and there's so many ways to build your credit.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays. I mean, you can have a credit card, prepaid credit card. They have self lending. Was that self lending builder? But you can Google it. You know what I mean? And basically what it is it's a credit card that you're putting into every month, but you're not actually using it.
Yeah.
But it's building up. It's building up your credit. So the more that
through
you
the
pay
lender,
into it,
yeah.
and the more that you're paying on time,
Okay.
then it's recording every single month. And
Yeah.
that's another thing too. Pay your bills on time. Pay your credit card bills on time. Even if you're maxing them out,
Yeah.
if you're paying them on time, then your credit score is staying even. I mean, not gain, but it's not going to drop.
Yeah, yeah. So for any of you out there who are looking into getting into business, especially for, I mean, not even in young folks. I mean, you still got, men out there, ladies out there, 20s, 30s, haven't quite figured things out yet, still trying to figure stuff out. that is important, and that is key, and that is something that the banks will look at.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So
Absolutely.
now at your barbershop business, you found a facility that you wanted,
Okay.
right? So once you found a facility that you wanted, it wasn't the way that you wanted it set up. You actually had to put the money and everything to do the refurbishing and rebuilding and get it the way that you actually wanted it, right?
Yeah.
So in that process of doing that, did you have any drawbacks?
Oh man, I had plenty of drawbacks. And it's another thing too. So I always look at the lease, right? I mean, obviously, yeah, okay. We all look at the lease, but key terms that you want to look out for, and one is as is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you an example. So when I had came in here, I was grateful for the opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it was in the middle of COVID. Like I said, mentioned before, commercial realtors were not picking up their phone.
Yeah.
Right. So I was given this opportunity, right? So there were some small issues like leaks, flooring was uneven.
Okay.
There were certain things that I had to fix, but I was grateful. I was grateful. I was given an opportunity, and there was an opportunity at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I thought I had fixed the problem.
Yeah.
Okay, and built a shop. Years later, right, that company sells the mall, right? So Rainbow Investments sells the mall to Federal Realty, right? And Federal Realty's like, okay, well, there's we're experiencing a leak, so there's a leak that's coming from your unit
Ooh.
into another unit,
Yeah.
and we're like, well, that's not our fault. Like there was a leak before. There was a
Yeah.
leak before here already,
Mhm.
and they're basically like, well, the contract says as is, so anything that's wrong with this unit, you have to you have to
Wow.
repair.
Wow.
It's on you.
Yeah.
And so, I wasn't prepared for that, and it ended up costing me a lot of money. So I was good at the contract, and the key word is as is.
As is.
And if it's as is, if they're giving you the unit as is, you're responsible
Mm-hmm.
for any, for
Yeah. So in other words, if you're not familiar with understanding how contracts work, I mean, because they actually have lawyers
And I would
reading
recommend
for
that.
contracts.
I would recommend that.
Yeah, you would recommend
Get a
that, and
lawyer.
I would too. I mean, because there's a lot of legalese stuff in there that you just don't understand. And the way that they work these contracts, sometimes I think they do this purposely
Absolutely. It's
to
meant to
throw
confuse
people
you.
off.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just damn near with any contract. So it's always good, especially if you're going into a business like you going into. Yeah, get a contractual lawyer to look at that
Yeah.
to make sure that everything is understood, because I think that was foul for them to all of a sudden put that burden on you. They almost treated this as if you were a homeowner, and it's like, okay, as opposed to somebody who lived in an apartment complex, right? Apartment complex, leak happens, they get somebody out there to fix the leak.
Yeah.
Homeowner, of course, hey, I got to do this myself. But you figure if it's a place of business that you're renting out space, you would think that they would take care of that. But because of that one little part in the contract, they just messed you all up, and it
Messed
set
me
you
up.
back financially.
Absolutely.
So that's another thing that people have to be aware of. Like you're saying, is pay attention to the contract. In the United States, we operate in black and white.
Yeah.
In black and white is what's on that paper.
That's
You
correct.
better have that right. Wow. So once you got through that debacle, how did you move forward after that?
Well, fix the repairs.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was able to do was there are programs that will, what's the word I'm looking for?
Assist you with it or help you out?
They'll assist you, but they'll basically you pay and then they refund you the money back. So reimbursement, yeah. So yeah. So there's definitely So there's reimbursement. There's there's laws and there's different terms, whether it's through the state or
Mm-hmm.
whether It's law, basically. And, I was able to kind of pay, but then get reimbursed my money back. There were some loops that I had to go through.
Okay.
And, I'll give you the program, I'll give you some of the programs after to where, you can relate to your viewers.
Okay.
And, give them some information, give them some information regarding that will definitely
Help them out. Their business
absolutely.
journey. Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
But yeah, just, that setback, it was a setback, but it was also a lesson learned. And, everything's in writing. Everything has to be in writing again. I can't stress that enough. If you're going into a space that has any issues, write it down, let them know. If you write down, let them know, then you won't be responsible. If it's on paper, if you bring it up to them and you're like, hey, listen, this is the issue, I need you to fix the issue, and they agree to it, but then they don't do it, and then years later they come back and they want to charge you to fix the problem. Then you can always go back and be like, well, listen, I told you about these issues.
Before. Just
before.
make sure it's on paper.
Absolutely. And if it's signed, then it's okay, cool. It's not your responsibility.
Okay. Yeah, those are some of the pitfalls of owning and operating a business, because of course they don't want to take those expenses either. So
exactly, nobody wants to take a loss.
Yeah, and lawyers and stuff get involved in all kind of money and stuff, being wasted damn near, because we know how they can prolong a situation, huh? Yeah. So, as of right now, where do you stand with your business? And is this the only business that you currently have right now?
Well, right now, I'm currently in the process of opening a barber college.
Okay.
It's always something that I've wanted to do, be an educator. And I feel like this is a golden opportunity. Some of the laws that have, changed as far as school regulations. It used to be 1,500 hours that you had to go to school to get your license, and now it's only 1,000 hours.
Okay.
So basically, if you do it in like months, it's went from 9 months to 6 months, and so that's good because I can have more barbers. At the school, I can fit, 60 to 120 at a time.
Okay.
And so, that's the next step. That's a big jump from a barber shop.
Yeah, actual barber school.
But I will say that if you are ever wanting to do that, I would say start either like an LLC, okay, or an S Corp now. You can backdate your LLC or S Corp 2 years. So meaning like if you open it up in 2022, you can say that, on paper you can put that you open it up, that you've been in business since 2020.
Yeah.
Okay. And start establishing credit.
Yeah.
With that LLC by the bank account. And, having a certain amount of money, it could, just based off what they require. I know for a barber school, they require that you have $25,000 in your bank account.
Okay.
At least.
That's what they want us. Okay.
Yeah, and it can't drop below that.
Okay.
I would say. So that's where I'm going.
Okay.
I feel like that's the next step for me.
You're talking about starting an LLC, right? Which is supposed to be protection for your business.
Right.
Now, do you have your current business in a holding company or anything, or any type of operating company?
No, you can do that. That would be, you can do that later. You don't have to so when you start an LLC, you can kind of add to it.
Okay.
Okay. And
So when you add to it later, I mean, because now I'm just thinking of protection for the business,
Right.
right? And what I know about a holding company is you can set a holding company up, and you can put your assets or you can put your business in your
Into
holding
the-
company
correct.
for if you have any type of issues with somebody slipping inside of your place of business or anything like that. They can't attack whatever, or they can't go after whatever is in the holding company, because the holding company doesn't operate as a business.
Gotcha.
So therefore, if they took it to court, well, they can't pierce that veil inside of the operating company. I mean, the holding company.
The holding
But then
company.
you have the operating companies outside of the holding company. Then you have like your LLCs and everything like that. So I know sometimes people are like, okay, should I start an S corp? Should I start a LLC? Should I start a C corporation? There's all these things that you can start, but based on the type of business that you have,
Right.
this is how you want to protect it.
Right.
But right now, you just have yours set up as an LLC
Correct.
right now.
Yeah. So I have
Okay.
it set up as an LLC, but it's taxed as an S corp.
It's taxed as an S corp.
Yeah.
Okay, sole proprietorship.
That's correct.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that's and then you can add like holding company and you can add that later on.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the start. You want to have LLC with the S corp, filing S corp on your taxes.
And another thing about the LLCs and everything is, another part that's bad about California business is it's $800 to start an LLC. You can go to another state like Atlanta, it might be 150, it might be 200 here. California is always expensive with everything. So anybody out there that's looking to start a business, those are some of the things that you got to factor in, the protection part of it, and it's costly. So you're talking about $800 for an LLC. You're talking about probably about another $8 to $1,000, I think, just for a holding company. That stuff costs a lot of money, man.
It
and
does.
then like LLC, you got to pay for that yearly, right? Is that a
Yeah.
yearly? Man.
Yeah.
And I think this year or this month or last month they had a program. I think Congress or Biden had put something in place where they were allowing people in California to actually start up an LLC for free.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's an advantage because that incentivizes people to actually go start a business, because I think sometimes that process of having to come up with all that extra money to start a business can be a little bit overwhelming because of all the other money you still got to come up with to do business.
Right.
So this time they allowed it. So is that free? Is it still free? Is it something to like the end of the year that you know of, or is this just like a 1 month thing or something?
So no, it's still free. It's gonna be free throughout the rest of the year.
Okay.
I think they're going to stop. I think they're going to stop that like around like April or
Okay.
May of next year.
Okay.
Okay, but yeah, that is correct. To file for an LLC or an S corp is free right now.
Okay.
You're gonna pay for like you're gonna pay for the processing fee, but the actual just fees of the LLC
Okay.
or the S corp, no, you're not
yeah,
paying.
yeah. They got to get their processing fee, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, man. So with your business and everything that you have going on, your business acumen and everything, so you've been doing this thing for a long time, right? So you understand the processes and you understand how this stuff works. You have kids?
Yes,
Okay. So do you teach this to your kids?
yes, absolutely.
Okay. So how do they like deal with it? Is it one, oh, Dad, we gotta go do this again, we gotta hear this stuff, or are they like, yeah, or they like, or are they inquisitive like you when you were younger? Are they wanting to learn this
Yeah.
at their age?
Well, they grew up in different circumstances,
Okay.
and they don't really have the issue of dealing without.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I will say that they want to learn.
Yeah.
They want to learn and they're willing to learn. And
Okay.
so, I tell them the first thing is, what do you love to do?
Okay.
What do you enjoy doing?
Mm-hmm.
What do you get up every day, to live for,
Mm-hmm.
and start with that.
Yeah.
And then as far as like, having, good credit, it's kind of like, look at it like that kid that had C's, if he was just a little bit organized, if the kid that made C's
Yeah.
was just a little more organized, he would have B's. He may even have A minuses.
Yeah.
So credit, a lot of it is organization. A lot of it is knowing what credit cards you have, knowing exactly the dates that they're due, and knowing when to pay them, pay on them.
Yeah.
So they hit with your credit, bureaus. They hit with the credit bureaus, and it's all organization. It's all planning. I would say most people mess their credit up because they miss payments.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's not like they don't have the money. They just forget to pay.
Yeah.
If you can, put your credit cards on auto payment.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you can. So, if you can't, well then just have a calendar.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for you not to have a calendar. You have it in your phone. You don't need to have, paper anymore.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Yeah, so it's not an excuse. But yeah, just do what you love and be organized.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So would you say that actually owning a business is probably one of the sure ways that somebody can be real successful?
Yeah. Yeah. I think my opinion, it's the only way.
Okay. And when I say success, I mean like, because anybody, you can define success and show. I mean, somebody who's a school teacher, if that's what they want to be, then that's how they define success. That's success, right? I get that part of it. Now, when I say success, I am talking about more of financial success, material items. I mean, because we all seem to gravitate to that, right? We want the nice cars, nice house, be able to make sure that our kids have something that we probably didn't have, but, just, hey, I can pass this on to the next generation. I mean, generational wealth right now, and it's this whole big thing that everybody is talking about. Then you hear about perpetual generational wealth, and I was like, well, what is that? Well, the difference between that and generational wealth is perpetual is, can you keep it going from generation to generation? Because sometimes we leave that generational wealth to the next generation, right?
Yeah.
And they find a way to screw it up. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, that generation, if we passed it down to you, you screwed it up because you didn't understand how to keep it going. So we want to keep it going, right? So when we talk about success, it's what you love to do, but how is it financially taking care of you and your family? So you're saying that business is the way to go. It's the only way to go. And I would agree with that also. Unless you're like some super high income earner,
right?
Working for somebody.
Well, I mean, that's I guess that's my point is the term that you use. I would like to say financial freedom is owning your own business.
Okay.
I mean, obviously you can be successful, working for somebody, but if you really want that financial freedom, of either working remote or working, or your money working for you while you're not there.
Okay.
That's yes,
That's what we're doing. Everybody's talking about passive income. Oh, I
Right.
want my money working for me in my sleep while I'm not there. I don't know. Passive income, that's kind of funny sometimes to me. I mean,
What's the fourth? It's the fourth step on Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's the fourth. It's the
yeah, but I've known people who talked about having that passive income, and it's like, well, you're still doing work. You're not doing as much work, but you're still doing work. You keep talking about passive income. Passive income to me is you're absolutely not doing anything, and it's just generating an income.
Okay.
But if every now and then you still have to go do something, you're not working as hard, but you're still doing something to have that income coming in, that's not necessarily passive income. And I've been involved with, multi-level marketing and stuff, and people are passive income, passive. No, it's not.
Yeah,
I've been around enough now to know that no, that's not passive income. Y'all stop doing that. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, because
I think passive income is like when you write a book, eventually, like that book will continue to sell.
That can be passive income.
Yeah,
You'd be like, oh, all of a sudden,
That's
yeah.
money you're always getting,
Yeah.
Even though you're not doing shit, you're sitting at a beach.
Yeah.
that book is still selling.
But so many people are sold on the idea of passive income now, right? Because that's what's being pushed on the internet. Oh, you can create a passive income by doing this right here, and then you buy somebody's course and realize that, hell, I'm not going to be able to generate a passive income based off of this course. And you're making your money. You're making your money off of selling these courses. You're not actually giving me any type of business acumen, anything that I can actually feed off of to actually start a business
Correct.
and generate a cash flow.
Correct.
So when you start talking about passive income, I think they push it out to us as being this one particular thing, but I think in reality, it's difficult to say and structure something that's a passive income outside of, like you were saying, okay, I'm still getting royalties in from, whether you're on a sitcom TV show or something like that, or you had a book that's still, I got a check from Amazon. Okay, well, all right, that's passive income.
Yeah.
But I've seen businesses where people talk about, oh, I'm generating a passive income, but you're still doing the work, though.
Mm-hmm.
You might be over here on a vacation, but you're still checking in here doing the work.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just the way. That's just what I've seen, and I think that it's a lot of BS out there that's being pushed out to people about business, and everybody wants to be an entrepreneur now.
Well, everybody's trying to sell a book. Everybody's trying to sell their merch.
Yeah.
And so, you're definitely getting bad advice out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just say to all my young people, there's enough resources out there to find the right information.
Mm-hmm.
You can, yeah, there's a lot of BS out there, but there's a lot of different ways to find what you need.
Yeah.
And how to do it. And so, just do your research.
Yeah. Gotta research.
Do your research and go by the steps.
Yeah.
Know what's the difference between an LLC and an S corp and a C corp.
Mm-hmm.
Know the product.
Yeah.
Know how to maximize your earnings.
Yeah.
And all this is just education.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be overwhelming, but the more that you do it, it's just like you're taking off the training wheels. You know what I'm saying? The more that you do it, the easier it becomes.
Mm-hmm.
And just don't give up.
Yeah, you definitely got to get put in that hands on.
But make your life a lot easier by doing what you're supposed to do, doing your due diligence.
Yeah, definitely. That is the key. So your business up and going, you're doing successful with it, and now you're in the process of trying to get a barber school and
Yes.
everything together. So, all right, so you're doing like the complete businessman stuff.
Absolutely.
That stuff that we kind of dream about and we vision on doing, and you're kind of like you're at the forefront of that, and you're making it possible because you're putting in the work.
Thank you.
To do that. So as we wrap it up here, man, there are about just a couple of things that I usually ask guys just to kind of see how they feel about something. So, give me the answers however you choose to. My first one is, if you can give any young man out there or any man out there that's our age, because sometimes we always want to focus on the kids, right? But sometimes you got people at our age who might be going through something. They might have fallen off. They don't know how to get back on track. It's difficult. Or you might have people out there, 40s, 50s, and they just feel like they haven't accomplished what they thought that they should have accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
And they get discouraged now. And they feel like, I'll just carry out the rest of my years just doing whatever. No real meaning to it or anything. What advice would you give to anybody that might be going through something like that?
You know what? I would just say don't give up. Don't give up. Whatever you're going through, there's somebody out there that's going through what you're going through or worse.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that, I really believe in manifestation. Thinking about it, you know what I'm saying? you know, thinking about it, praying about it, you know, starting the process. And it's the thing too. You have to enjoy the process more than a reward. And I feel like a lot of people, you know, they want to become rich, but they don't enjoy the process. They don't enjoy the, you know, the sleepless nights.
It's the hard work.
Yeah, the hard work, you know, the you know, the hours putting into it. So I feel like you have to enjoy the process.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's going to be the number one thing. And just do your research. Just do your research, from from A to B. I would say, as far as partnerships, look for investors. You know what I'm saying? I would say to you, instead of there being, okay, well, let's just be 50-50 partners, or let's just be 60-40 partners.
Yeah.
Like, okay, listen, you invest this much and I give you 10, 20%. And once I pay that 20%, then you're out. So just kind of, it's all about structure.
Yeah. It's
about organizing. And it's about loving what you do. So, I would say, I would say start on just simple, what's the difference between a DBA and a fictitious business, and then from there go, to, the difference between an LLC, S Corp, and a C Corp, which I just mentioned.
Yeah.
And, that's the paperwork side. And then you go to the tax side. Okay, well, LLCs get taxed this way, S Corps get taxed this way, C Corps get double taxation.
Yeah.
You got to know that too. So, it's really sitting down, mapping it out, all the different aspects of it, you know what I mean? And then mastering all those, so it's a easy stream, everything's streamlined.
Yeah.
You're not bumping in with, oh, damn, my emails aren't set up, or, oh, damn, my business bank account's not set up, or, damn, I'm my taxes are here and, this isn't right. You know what I mean? It's if, and you may need to hire somebody for this.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So, just make sure it's done right, and it's going to take time. You're going to make mistakes, but, the more you train, the more you, the more you do it, because, more than likely, like an entrepreneur is going to have more than one business. And, how many businesses did, let's say, like a guy like Donald Trump fail before he succeeded? So, just every time you fail, learn. It's a learning experience. It's not failure. It's just education.
Yeah. So in other words, if you might be going down that path where it seems like everything is just not going right for you, just in other words, just don't give up then.
Just
keep going. You got to keep going.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, what is the one thing that you regret, big or small?
Let me see. I would say the one thing that I regret is not giving thanks to the people that were there for me, through this path. And what I mean by that is, did I, okay, once the business is built, okay, I'm like, go away, I didn't acknowledge them. No, but that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that I didn't give them enough credit. I didn't let them know how much, I appreciated them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, giving appreciation to the people that were there, that were along the path. Absolutely. Whether it's, your kids, your girlfriend, your wife, your brothers, your sister, whatever, and, cause just me, I felt like I regret that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, the good thing is I'm pretty sure them people are still around.
Some of them are.
Some of them aren't. Okay, so
Some
we
of them aren't.
pretty much we talking about the ones that are not here. So at least the ones that are here, you can go back and be like, hey,
Yeah.
thank you. You know what I'm saying? I didn't
Yeah.
tell you before, but I appreciate what you've done for them. Now the ones who are no longer here, okay, that's a different topic now. You know, you can't thank them or anything like that. Okay. And my last one here is, where do you see yourself a year from now?
Wow, that's a good question. I'll say a year from now.
I know sometimes we usually operate in 5-year windows and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I'm like, now let's
Yeah,
go over here. Let's put
yeah.
the pressure on a little
You know
bit.
what?
What's going on in a year?
We're in a society where things happen a lot faster now.
Yeah, it
you
does.
know? So, a year from now, I see myself either in the process or finishing the process of the school.
Okay.
Okay. The school is going to be, because due to the regulations and inspections that the state and the federal government do, it takes about a year just to, it takes about a year for them just to come and inspect the school.
Okay.
So basically, the school is empty for a year. So you're paying rent for about a year.
Ooh.
Yeah, without even putting a lick of
Man.
furniture in there. Why? They're trying to fix that problem now. They try to say that they're understaffed because of COVID, but I feel like that's an excuse. But yeah, in the process or just finishing up the process, and I would like to start a family again.
Okay.
For men, we work hard, we play hard, but at the end of the day, we're homebody creatures. We want to come home to a family, to whether that be a wife or a wife and kids, or wife and dog, whatever the case may be. And
Peaceful
so,
place.
What's that?
Peaceful place.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody just to share it with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm 41 years old, and I'm not getting any younger. And so I just want somebody just to come home and just be like, hey, I'm doing this all for you.
Yeah.
So
No, I hear you, man.
yeah,
Okay, well, man, I appreciate you coming through. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Give me
Thank
a
you
little
for
bit of
having
time,
me.
man, and hey, maybe we can sit down, chop it up, and do this again.
Yes.
And see where you at in 6 months or so, or next year if we do it. But hey, hopefully it's sooner than that.
Hey, it'd be my pleasure.
Yeah,
Invite me anytime.
Yeah,
I'll be back.
definitely. Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, hey, y'all, thanks for coming through. Thanks for checking the channel out. And like I always say, hey, keep your head on a swivel. Don't panic under pressure, and respect all. And definitely be stoic. I'm out of here.